Hey guys, thanks for checking out our video. I'm Pat.
I'm Reece.
And we do the Shred Shack radio show every Wednesday night on my WCWP. We should put a link down there, shouldn't we?
Yeah, you should definitely put the link down there.
Alright, I will. And it is the end of the year. Technically, it's the beginning of February.
Yep. Third time's a charm.
Third time trying to record this. But we did have so many albums from 2015 that we wanted to talk about that we couldn't just skip making this video.
Yeah, we each decided to, have our own top 10 lists because we just couldn't decide on what was awesome.
So it's basically a top 20. So before we start, though, we do have a couple of honorable mentions. Now, this would have made the list if it were a metal album, but it's not.
Damn you, Dan.
I think I figured out why our quest to be the world's most intense metal band hasn't panned out yet. It's because people think we're soft!
Ninja Sex Party's Attitude City. We both thank and hate Dan Mac from the Shred Shack podcast for constantly playing Everybody's Shut Up and getting us hooked on this comedy group, but their songs are genuinely catchy and hysterical. The best is either Dragon Slayer, which is about a guy trying to pick up women by telling him that he kills dragons for a living, or 6969, which features an appearance from Michael Starr from Steel Panther.
Dave Mustaine, what's going on, babe? Awesome, great, okay, see you later. It does nothing for them.
And of course, we have to mention Motorhead's Bad Magic. If you were looking for a Motorhead album, you found it. And Bad Magic is pretty damn good with some great tracks like When the Sky Comes Looking for You and an awesome cover of Sympathy for the Devil. It's up there with the later Motorhead releases everyone should check out, like Kiss of Death and Inferno. And we're both huge Lemmy fans. But we just didn't feel like putting a numerical scale on this. We wouldn't do it justice. So instead, we're just going to salute the album and the man.
Rest in peace, Lemmy.
Lemmy of Motorhead, one of the most respected rock acts in the world. It's always a pleasure to sit with you. Thank you.
Go yourself. Start again.
Yeah, how about you start? Because I think this one demands an explanation.
All right, I'll start. I was a little cruel hiding this one from Pat this year. When I first heard Orden Ogan was in my random playlist on YouTube of power and folk metal bands. I heard the song Fever and I knew I had to listen to more. I picked up the album and was like, this is amazing! The powerful, in-your-face guitars throughout the album and catchy sing-along lyrics will make you want more. The title track, Fever, and Deaf Among the Blind are in my favorites from the album. Then there are the special guests.
Like Chris Bodenthal from Gravedigger.
I'm watching over you now. The reapers never fall. You need this king me somehow.
Check them out and you will not be disappointed.
Next time something's this cool, you can let me know. I'm your friend.
Didn't I shoot you last time?
I got better. This one knocked the Diamonds off my list, which I thought was a really underappreciated release, but Purple was just genuinely the best progressive experience I've had all year. Ghost didn't make it either, and you might check by our list that we're not the biggest Ghost fans. But I have the feeling that everything that people loved about Meliora, I found in Purple.
If I had the
I haven't listened to a lot of Baroness, but their songs like Shock Me, Chlorine and Wine, and especially If I Have to Wake Up, Will You Stop the Rain, really got through to me. It's amazing that this band did more in 42 minutes what most rock acts can put out in an hour and 20.
This album makes me want to punch someone in the face for how awesome it is. Hey, Pat. Oh, yeah, every damn time! It's technical, it's brutal, it's hardcore gold. Pat, put in clips of mosh pits. And play Shackles. That's your album review right there.
Eh,
That's not Shackles.
nope.
Bastard.
Don't punch me. Like I said last year, I needed to listen to a lot more Ensiferum, and I did. And One Man Army was everything I needed it to be. From the heavier tracks like Acts of Judgment and Warrior Without a War to the ones that are just plain fun, like Two of Spades. How many other bands can get away with a disco break in their metal albums? I've also got the deluxe edition, so there's the cover of Rawhide in there, and a song at the very end about how stupid bonus songs are. And it really puts a humorous spin on everything. All in all, I just thought this was great. It's probably why everybody kept telling me to listen to more Ensiferum.
That and Rawhide!
Rawhide. Yeah!
Get him up. As you all know, we love us some silly stuff. This album is... Hold on.
Really?
Unicorn Magic, go!
Shred, Shack Rocks. Shred, Shack Rocks.
This album is silly, powerful power metal. Those who are fans of fantasy-style lyrics of dragons and wizards will be happy to hear that Gloryhammer continues their stories of legendary figures. Rise of the Chaos Wizard sounds like it should be out of a D&D epic battle. Heroes of Dundee has amazing guitar backing parts and awesome lyrics. You will find yourself singing along every time.
There's nothing to fight if I stay behind. It's my right, my God-given right.
As if the album artwork wasn't enough to get you to like this, the content within, put it away, is pretty much everything you'd expect and hope to hear in a Helloween album. It's got that perfect mix of classic and modern sounds that they've had for the past few releases, and it works as a nice follow-up to Straight Outta Hell.
Stand tall, your battle's won. All foes defeated none. And feet and sheath with fate on your side.
I think Battles 1 and Lost in America are two of my favorite Helloween tracks, and then again, I'm approaching this as somebody who got into the band later in life, so while the classics are sacred, the newer stuff just appeals to me more. So, that's why I like it.
Shadows and the stars, we will not return. Humanity will save us at the speed of light.
Iron Maiden. Anything else that needs to be said about that?
Yeah, keep going.
Alright. It felt like a return to form for them, like most of the tracks would have felt at home around the same time as Brave New World or Dance of Death. It's the band's first double album, and the songs were all epic. And it was recorded while Bruce Dickinson may have been suffering early symptoms of his cancer diagnosis, which makes it all the more impressive.
Maybe it's all just for the best. Lay his weary head to rest. Was forever feeling drowned. Tears of a clown.
Bruce's favorite track is Tears of a Clown, which talks about Robin Williams' depression and suicide. And for me, it's definitely down to either that one or the 18-minute epic Empire of the Clouds.
The engines drum. The telegraph sounds. Release the cords that burn us to the ground.
Welcome back, guys. Look forward to seeing you next time Ed Force 1 lands in New York.
If it does, I know that they're probably skipping the island for a while now.
Well, we'll just see him in the city.
Yeah, that's true.
Gotta live with a killer instinct. You gotta die a little too survive. You gotta live with a killer instinct. You gotta hold a little to get back.
As a huge Thin Lizzy fan, I can't believe I was more excited by this than their first album, All Hell Breaks Loose, but they really pulled out all the stops. The title track got me hooked from the first note, Bullet Blues was catchy as hell, and Soldier's Town had this amazing drinking song style to it.
There's nothing here in Soldier's Town, see misery and pain. Crowds are feeling Soldier's Town, they never grew. I can't.
Damon Johnson and Scott Gorham really outdid themselves with the guitar work, and I'm genuinely amazed that Ricky Warwick was able to work on this so much since he had his own solo project come out in 2014. But yeah, this was hands down the best classic rock throwback of the year.
Determination, fighting freedom, my time is now. My time is now, my time is now. Doesn't serve on fictitious bounds.
Pat,
Yep.
if you would ask me what my favorite show was this year, what would you say it would be?
Well, that depends. Are you talking about a band that played all their own material or that did a whole bunch of drunken covers?
Drunken covers.
Metal Legions.
See them live.
You gave me your gift, you gave me your gift to play.
My personal favorite supergroup of metal. This band has too many people involved to name them all.
Well, there's Phil Anselmo, Alyssa Whiteglues, Chuck Billy, Chris Jericho was on a track,
One eternity later.
Scott Ian, Frankie Bello, the guy from Death Angel.
Are you done?
Not really, but you could probably keep going.
Okay. Every song on this album has a different lineup of members, causing a different feel to every song, which hits all genres of American heavy metal. Scars, Can't Kill the Devil, Gift of Pain, all kick ass. Also, if you got the special edition, you get the Ronnie James Dio cover of We Rock, featuring, well, everyone.
The video for it kind of sums it up. Thank God there is a fun Korpiklaani album out this year. If you saw my review of Manala, you'll know that the thing I hated the most about it was how dreary and depressing it was.
I just remember getting drunk.
Yeah, it was good times.
Yeah, good times.
This should never be the case with a band like this that makes songs like Happy Little Boozer, Journeyman, and Bring Us Pints of Beer.
Olen minä mies, koko ratarita ja kaidan lokoties. Hei, 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 ja hies kuivulta ikakku kuumassa vitoilta ainomies.
And this one starts off fun with Vina Mine Mias, which is now one of my absolute favorites, and the song Pileon,
Don't even bother, you'll hurt yourself.
that one. It may be one of the most joyous, entertaining folk metal songs in history.
Soitan soittoa, iloitsen, ikimieleni on mua. Soitan pilliä vähäsen, soitto on ilosta tehty.
And even the slower, more heavy songs like Lempi and Amarauta are engaging and powerful without trudging and boring surrounding them. This is the Korpiklaani that I like hearing.
Here.
Beer, beer.
Soilwork has a new album out. Do we need to say more?
When they come from the saints on your heartless, I won't believe it.
And where the last album had some tracks that were less interesting when compared to the rest of the album, that could just be because it was a double album that wasn't fully fleshed out. This sounds like a more concise, determined project with a clear goal in mind. That's why songs like the title track are so good at getting you interested to begin with, and songs like Death in General, Enemies Infidelity, and Whirl of Pain just keep the good feelings going. And father and son, watching the world go down. That ending track is such a drastic change in style that it almost doesn't feel like a Soilwork song at all, but it really works. This album is what Living Infinite was probably aiming to be, but surrounded itself with a few too many forgettable songs. Definitely one of their best.
Devoid and broken within, I lost human origin.
God, I love Fear Factory. Fear Factory is a great example of fixing it when it's not broke and still improving on everything. The album was almost made like it was designed to bite me in the ass every time I say, I'm not a huge industrial metal fan. Because every track on here was aggressive and fierce while staying crisp and clear all the way through. The drums on songs like Autonomous Combat System and Proto Mech are so unbelievably tight, and the extra sounds in the background add to the feeling of the album without distracting you from the main sound, which is one of my biggest complaints in the genre.
Hey, no, no, you'll never take my control. I dominate.
Also, the first time I heard Soul Hacker, I nearly jumped out of my seat. It was so good. Not surprising that I liked it, but still, worth mentioning how absolutely awesome it is.
I was really looking forward to this album. I'm a huge fan of Floor Jansen, and when it first came out, I felt it to be such a huge letdown. I've heard Floor sing live, and she has an extremely powerful voice, and this album, on my first listen, felt like she was holding something back. Then they went on tour, and before shows, I like to listen to the band's albums to, prepare myself, remember the lyrics and all that. This was when I realized the elegance and beauty of this album. Weak Fantasy is the heaviest song on the album, but it's also my favorite, with the orchestra background vocals in the chorus, fantasy-driven vocals, and goddamn Marco make the song more epic!
Calm down. Calm down. And the album finishes off with the song Greatest Show on Earth, which is 24 minutes with lots of breaks in it. When it picks up though, oh my god, it just gives me chills. It reminds me of The Last Ride of the Day, which I felt was the best closer for any album. But the band part of The Greatest Show on Earth takes its spot. So, give it more than one listen then.
Yes.
Entire species erased. Millions of fakers defaced.
Probably the biggest surprise here for anyone who knows me personally, because I'm not a huge death or grind guy, but a little part of me has always liked Cattle Decapitation. Their production's only gotten better over time, allowing you to hear every note, scream, and kick. The first two tracks, Manufactured Extinct and Prophets of Lost, may be two of the best death metal tracks I've ever heard. And even songs like Mammals in Babylon have this awesome bridge that steps out of the usual genre a little bit. And it's only better for it. I didn't think they could top Monolith of Humanity, but I guess the only way they could do it was just keep staying the course and doing what they're doing. Oh, also, like Helloween, the album cover is one of the most terrifyingly awesome things I've ever seen. Ah! America.
Just your matter.
Pat introduced me to this band before we had an interview with their lead singer, and he played me their song Tonight We Ride. And I fell in love almost instantly. Britney slays. Not only having an amazing name, my god, that sounds awesome.
Britney slays. Yeah, I like it.
She has become my favorite female heavy metal vocalist. Yes, that's pushing Floor to number 2.
Wow.
What cemented this band as my number 3 for Best Album of the Year was their second video, Test Your Metal. My personal favorite song from this album is No More Heroes. If you haven't listened to Unleash the Archers yet, then what are you doing watching this? Go listen now. We'll wait.
We will?
Yeah.
Oh. Alright. So, did you hear about Nakamura?
It's awesome.
That's what I was thinking. Alright, screw that. I want to talk about August Burns Red. I've been a fan of August Burns Red since Messengers back in 2007, and in my opinion, their albums have just gotten better and better over time. I feel like the single Ghosts with Jeremy McKinnon is a little misleading because the rest of the album is so much better than this. Maybe it's because I'm not that big of a Day to Remember guy, but every other track just totally kicks its ass. Everything from Martyrs to the fast and beautiful guitar work from 21 Grams sounds absolutely amazing to me. Also, the fact that Identity was nominated for a Grammy is stunning because it sounds so far away from what you would think ABR's style is if you've ignored them for a while. But that song's probably my favorite on the album because it took the same incorporate another style approach that I Wrestled a Bear Once does much, much worse. And it turned it into one of the best metal tracks of the year. There's a goddamn surf break in the middle of it. August Burns Red as a whole has always been one of my favorite bands, and I'm just glad they haven't gone the way of so many other Christian metal bands and have faded completely out of the public eye. I really am already looking forward to what their next album is going to be.
They're a Christian metal band?
Yeah.
Oh, go figure.
The more you know. I could put in a graphic, but yeah, I don't want to waste the time.
Okay. Our first and second choices for best albums of the year are the exact same, just in the exact opposite positions.
So my number 2 was his number 1, and vice versa for him.
Exactly. So instead of saying number 2, let's just go right to number 1.
Why the hell not?
Blessed and possessed. Blessed and possessed. Blessed and possessed. Hallelujah.
I won't go into too much details because Pat is doing a full review of this. Bastard.
Ah.
Holy f***ing shit, is this album amazing!
Line up side by side and bound to praise and to die and fight the final day. Army of the night, we came to save Maria.
If you can get the special 2-disc version, get it. Favorite songs, the title track, Army of the Night, Christ, and Combat. I found myself coming back to this album all the time, and several listened to over and over again. I never got bored of this album, and it makes me want to hear more Powerwolf.
We are the sons of God and sorrow. We are the ones who see the tomorrow. Suck up, I'm out of this regard.
I'll leave it there for Pat's review coming soon.
Eventually.
Can't believe I had to do all that remains.
I already did a full album review for this one with Dan, who runs the podcast down in Texas. So if you want most of my thoughts on that one, please check out our video.
Right there.
But all in all, this one just stuck with me the most. It's the one album this year that I could listen to front and back over and over again and keep finding new things to enjoy about it each time, even as recently as a couple of weeks ago. And I'm not going to say that seeing them live this past year is the entire reason for this, but definitely didn't hurt.
So pretty much our number ones, we both found to be very much that we could listen to over and over again and not get bored of them.
Yeah. This was a good goddamn year.
This was an amazing year.
So if you guys have one that we didn't mention from 2015, please let us know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, check out all of our other videos, follow our podcast and our radio show, and we'll see you guys next time. New hit list coming soon. The topic is folk metal.
New anime metal mashup coming soon. Here's a hint.
Awesome.